Welcome back to Pora. I might have had 2 or 3 or 5 coffees today, so got a little bit of energy in me. So we're going to go over some self-recovery and some recovery basic tools that you're going to want on the trail. So this is again for some of the new folks, self-recovery 101. Let's get to it. All right, trail recovery. So we're going to go over just the basics of what you should have with you when you're going out by yourself or with a group. First and foremost, get yourself a good set of gloves if you're going to be doing any kind of wrenching, pulling a winch line, that kind of stuff. Make sure your hands are protected. So this is what I carry, one tote. You can fit a lot of stuff in these. This is what I always have in the back of my Jeep when I'm out and about. First thing I bring with me is in the event you or anybody else on the trail has to change a tire. Electric impact makes the job a hell of a lot quicker. So I always carry that. I always carry my air compressor. This is a Smittybilt. I've had this for, I think, going on 16 years now. It's been fantastic. I can't tell you how many times I've aired tires up with this, amongst many other things. So if you're airing down your tires on the trail, which you probably should, you got to have a way to pump them back up when you get back to the trailhead. So air compressor. I always bring a set of ratchet. I got some deep impact sockets for the impact wrench, just in case the guy needs it. It's good stuff to have. Just a small bag of random tools, a couple wrenches, pliers, that kind of stuff. You can put some zip ties in there. You never know when you're going to need zip ties. So I like to bring those with me. Straps. So you can get kinetic rope, or you can get these straps are pretty inexpensive. They got a pretty good weight break point on them. This one's pretty old. I've had it for quite a while, but it's holding up well. But every once in a while, just inspect your equipment. Look for rips and tears in the webbing. Anything that looks like it's starting to wear down, including the ends. Just don't chance it. If you're going to put anything under load, and there's a chance of something breaking and somebody getting injured, just toss it out and get a new one. So I always carry a couple of these along with a chain. I've got a chain in the back tub of the Jeep right now. We'll get into that in a minute. You get yourself a little saw. You know, I always carry one of these. I carry a small hatchet. If I'm going out for an overnight or a weekend trip, I'll actually bring a little bit of a larger saw. You know, it helps for cutting some trees down. If you know you got a tree that came down, fell over top of the trail, you can buck it up. Use it for firewood. Sometimes you got to chop up an old dead tree and just shove it under that tire to get some extra traction. Had to do that many times. You can pack a full size shovel with you. However, they take up a lot of room. They really do. So I like these little folding ones. These are fantastic. They work in a pinch. They literally fold up to that. So I mean, I don't care how much stuff you've got in your Jeep. You can find room for that. Then good old-fashioned ratchet straps. You should always have a couple of these for numerous reasons. You know, if your tire carrier breaks, you got to secure something. God forbid a front drive shaft goes or something. There's just many reasons you should bring these. You can strap parts up to the Jeep that have fallen off, or secure them up out of the way if there's a problem. I never leave the house without these. They're good to have. So that's the basics that I bring with me every single time I hit the trail, and they all fit in this tote. So that'll kind of give you an idea of what you should have. Let's go into some of the clevises and chains and some more of the winch components, I guess, for recovery. All right, so first thing we're gonna go over is a D-ring or a clevis. These are quite common. A lot of guys are using soft shackles now, which is kind of a rope with a loop at one end and then a kind of a ball at the other, and hooks into one another. But I got old school, so this is the D-ring, clevis. Now, a lot of guys will say just, you know, thread this in until it's finger tight and then that's good enough. It's not. I don't trust that. The reason that they're flat, they have a hole in the end, and they're also flat, so you can get a wrench on it or a crescent wrench. So I always suggest giving that a good snug, like snug that up before you start putting any kind of weight on it. You know, if the guy's really stuck and you got a winch line on or a kinetic rope, there's a lot of force behind that. I don't really, I wouldn't chance finger tight on that. So a little bit of a word to the wise on that. Snug these down. You can use these on the front or the back. They're really good for attaching winch lines to. They're also really good for putting through the loop of your tow rope. That way you know they can't fall off like a hook. Sometimes a hook might fall off. But if you put it through the end of your tow rope or your sling, you know, there's no chance of it falling off. So that's my preference on that. All right, just to familiarize ourselves with the winch, if you're not familiar with it, you're going to have your winch. Your winch line is going to roll out from the bottom of the spool through this piece here, which is called your fair lead, so that guides your cable coming in and out when you're operating your winch. Then you're going to have your clamp here, which holds your cable together at the end, which is going to be attached to a hook. On the bottom of this hook, there's a pin that runs through here, and there's a cotter pin on the bottom of this. So before you ever use a winch line, make sure you inspect it, make sure that pin is in, and make sure that cotter pin is in, because you don't want that hook flying off mid-pull. That's really important. I've seen that happen twice, and the hook ended up going through the fellow's windshield. Very dangerous. Also, there's a spring inside of here. You want to make sure that this hook is in good condition. When you're hooking onto something, make sure that this closes all the way. Don't leave it half open with, you know, your tow rope or something stuck in there. That's just an accident waiting to happen. Okay, so if you have just a chain, if you don't have tow straps, if you're using a chain with hooked ends, I'm just going to go over this quick because it is fairly important for safety. So again, before you use it, check out your equipment, make sure it's in good working condition. There's no broken links or cracked links that could fly apart. Check your hook end, make sure your pin's in, and make sure that cotter pin's in, because you don't want this coming off. So once you run it through your contact point where you're going to be pulling, you're going to want to hook this chain back to itself again. Now the way I like to do it is I like to hook up my chain so that the weight of the chain sitting inside the hook, I can let it drop and it's not going to fall out. So by doing that, I want my chain, the hook end, to come out on the top, and then I'm going to hook it back into itself through one of those links. Now make sure that link, the link of your chain, rests in the bottom of this hook. Don't just have it set like this. That's an accident waiting to happen. You want to make sure that link is completely set in that hook, 100% fully. That's how it should be sitting, just like that. That is the safe way to make sure your chain is hooked up properly. Also, I'm just going to add the connection for the remote. A lot of winches have are wireless now, which is great. I unfortunately don't have one, but I do have this awesome little dirt cover here that covers up where I plug my controller into. So it's a 5-pin. So the end of my controller for my winch line is 5-pin. It only goes in one way. But when you're out and you are covered in mud, it's not a bad idea to either tape the end of this up or even put a small sandwich bag over it and then throw some tape around it. Just because when you're stretching it out, sometimes you'll drop this in a mud puddle or mud, and it's like, ooh, I didn't mean to do that, but then you got nothing but mud plugged in there. So yeah, a little word of advice. I've done that myself, so I usually try to keep this wrapped up with even electrical tape until I'm ready to actually put it into the winch and put it to use. So I hope that helps you out. So just as a side note, I'm going to, one of my future videos here, I'm actually going to get out on the trail and pull out the winch line and hook up some tow straps to trees and teach you some self-recovery with the winch. Just a quick little pointer. But another reason I always carry a chain with me is if you ever get stuck and you got one tire spinning, so if you don't have a 4x4 rig with a locking differential, once in a while you'll get one tire that's just sitting there spinning and won't get traction. A chain comes in handy for that. So I always carry one. You can throw it in front of your tire and then just zigzag back and forth like this with this chain. So what that's going to do is it essentially acts like a traction board. So, I mean, you can buy traction boards, but the odd time that I need something like this, I always have a chain in the back of the rig, and it does the same thing. You put it down in front of the tire that spins, just kind of snug it underneath. Now your tire's got a little bit of a runway with some traction. More times than not, when your tire's starting to spin, it'll catch that chain, pull it underneath, and it'll walk it across. So a little bit of a pointer there for the newcomers. All right, well, that was just some of the basic stuff you should have with you on the trail. So, make sure you got some gloves, tow strap, a couple clevises, that kind of thing. In case you have to hook up to something or another rig has to hook up to you. Yeah, so again, just basic stuff. That's the number one things you should have with you. Feel free to comment if you think I've missed anything or you believe there's something that someone should be carrying with them at all times. And let me know in the comments what you think, what you like, and what you'd like in the future. If you got any suggestions, you'd like me to make some more videos on a particular topic, let me know and I'll make it happen. So, anyways, Phantom Off-Road Adventure, Pora, I'm out for today. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.